Government people are supposed to be agents, not rulers. As the first Chief Justice John Jay put it, the Constitution created a government of the people, and government officers can exercise no rights but such as the people commit to them. This affirms that the people are the source of all power, and they delegate some of it to the government. He went on to explain that the Constitution only serves to point out that part of the people's business which they think proper by it to refer to the management of the persons therein designated. That means government officials are supposed to be agents, not rulers, and they manage that business, as Jay put it, not for themselves and as their own, but as agents and overseers for the people to whom they are constantly responsible.
If, let's say, a lawyer is knowing of this information and they're wanting to help you, I want to help my client. I need you to understand what ends up happening. They will get disbarred. If they don't protect the court, they can't be a part of the organization. What does that mean? See, this is why lawyers, they have to be they got to sign oaths. And you can't trust people who take oaths, by the way. You just can't. Lawyers, doctors, judges, politicians, anybody who takes oaths, you can't trust them. I'm just letting you know. Trust them all you want to, but I'm letting you know, anybody who's taking an oath, that's somebody who you can't trust. So you got these lawyers that come in and they take these oaths. That's somebody who you can't trust.
We're going to talk about courts and why they do what they do. Because one reason. Every court is a Nisi Prius court. That's N-I-S-I-P-R-I-U-S. It's the Nisi Prius court. And you can box in a judge in any type of case you're involved in. U.S. citizen, state citizen, makes no difference. This is a general judicial notice that affects everybody. Okay? This is demand for judicial notice of Rule Nisi within a Nisi Prius court. I'll read this and I'll explain how it operates. Notice is hereby given on blank day of blank 1996 at 13:30 hours or soon thereafter as the matter can be heard in courtroom blank of the above entitled court. We'll move the court to take judicial notice of the following. This is demand for judicial notice of Rule Nisi within a Nisi Prius court. This court, by being part of the Nisi Prius court system, must follow Rule Nisi, which is a, quote, a rule which will become imperative and final unless cause be shown against it. Since this court can require compelled performance, which is only allowed in a court which is enforcing some type of contract, it is Hornbook law that all contracts are either in equity or admiralty for enforcement purposes. Thus, based upon the foregoing, this court must take judicial notice that this court is merely enforcing some type of contract that would allow Rule Nisi to apply. Therefore, the court should dismiss this matter if the prosecution does not produce the contract or prove with admissible evidence that the accused was involved in the activity being regulated, with admissible evidence that invokes the authority of the court. Hearsay or presumptions will not be permitted, since this is a criminal trial where an accused justly demands due process secured to him by the state constitution. We filed this notice on a traffic no driver's license case in Santa Barbara. And the judge says, yep, I'm accepting this. He says all the courts in the nation are Nisi Prius courts. They're all contract courts. He says all the courts in the nation are Nisi Prius courts. They're all contract courts. When you get a traffic summons, that's a Nisi Prius summons. It's in order to show cause. So you have to take the rocks out of your wheelbarrow and put it in the government's wheelbarrow. You make them prove you're involved in the activity being regulated. And the judge up in Superior Court there in Santa Barbara told the prosecutor, Mr. Prosecutor, you know what you have to prove. If you don't prove it, I'm dismissing this case. So what is they have to prove in a traffic case? First, you're a person, a legal entity. Second, you're involved in commercial activity. 2, you're an alien.
Child support may be over. Child support fake hearings is now over. The Supreme Court ruled on Thursday, June 27, 2024, in SEC versus Jharkhasi, that these administrative law judges, where these are lower courts, where there's not a judicial person, They cannot bring in in-house proceedings to enforce civil penalties. You are guaranteed a right to a trial by jury. It's your 7th Amendment right. I've been saying it forever. Child support is dead. Don't take my word for it. Let's see what the Supreme Court justice had to say themselves. It says, the more broadly, the Jharkhasi decision calls into question whether any federal regulatory agency, not just the SEC, can bring in-house proceedings to enforce civil penalties. And if you go down to the second paragraph, it says that the Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor noted in her dissent, the constitutionality of hundreds of statutes may be in peril, and dozens of agencies could be stripped of their powers to enforce laws enacted by Congress. What does peril mean? Peril means exposure to risk of being injured, destroyed, or lost. Dead.